Chapter 27. The feud begins. Jaime let out a hiss as he tried to move his right arm. His sword hand suffered the most damage while standing his ground outside Riverrun. In hindsight, it was stupid of him to think he could have done anything against the dragon. The mere fact he was even breathing was unbelievable. When he opened his eyes after the battle, he found himself surrounded by the darkness of a forest. It took him days to properly understand what was going on. When he woke up and regained his full bearings, he found himself in the company of Ser Island Payne and Bronn. Then Bronn regaled him with the tale of their miraculous escape. Bronn and Ser Island had pulled him out of the burned-out Lannister camp. Their prompt action saved his life, although that was debatable. Jaime looked at his right hand, or what's left of it. He was already a cripple thanks to this bloody war, and now his entire arm was infected with burn wounds. The pain was unbearable, and he could barely move his hand without searing pain burning through his arm. Even if he survived the battle, he won't be lasting for much longer. His arm was getting infected, and it was only going to spread. Even if he decided to lope off his arm, there was the entire right side of his body. Jaime looked down his body, his eyes tracing over the angry red burn marks as well as the blackened marks left on his body. His skin had nearly melted under the scorching heat of dragonfire. The skin on his thighs hung loosely with dark red blood everywhere. Bronn and Ser Island had taken out as much metal from his body. A lot of his armor had melted and stitched itself to his body. Without immediate help, he was going to die. He feared what would happen to Tommen if he passed away. He was now regretting not taking away his son and leave Westeros for good. The Iron Throne is a cursed piece of metal that will claim the life of anyone sitting on that chair. If he had taken Tommen away from the capital, he could have avoided the carnage that was about to follow. He could have saved the lives of all those who perished outside the walls of Riverrun. He should not have listened to a single word from Cersei's mouth. The sweet words Cersei has whispered into his ears throughout his whole life has only poisoned him and brought misfortune to all those around them. He should have never joined the King's Guard. He should have never shared Cersei's bed after she married Robert. Joffrey, Myrcella and Tommen should not have been his children. He should not have broken oaths so easily, thinking they held no value. When Jaime closed his eyes, he could picture himself on that cursed day in the throne room. His sword dripping blood and Aerys Targaryen lying beneath his feet. He held no regrets in ending that madman. But he should have protected those who could not protect themselves. There was Elia Martell, little Rhaenys Targaryen and baby Aegon. There were other women and children in the Red Keep who were butchered by his father's men. He could have saved them all if he had chosen to. Instead, he sat on the Iron Throne and watched Aerys bleed to death. Jaime's ears filled with screams of that day which he had so willfully ignored all these years. Aerys in all his madness has never harmed children. Sure, the Mad King made regular threats to keep the traitors in line but had never harmed children. It was only when the Lannister armies began burning the capital the Targaryen king leapt into full-blown madness. Perhaps, he was delirious to speak good of the Mad King and make excuses on the last Targaryen king's behalf. The carnage unleashed by Aerys Targaryen was far mellow compared to what his family has unleashed on Westeros. The Stormlands is decimated, the Dronish are back to their old ways, the Reach is being overrun by the Ironborn, the Westerlands has been devastated by ruinous wars, anything of worth in the Riverlands has been burned to the ground, the Crownlands is filled with opportunistic bootlickers, the Vale remains disenchanted and the North remains ever more silent. It's all my fault. Mine and hers, he thought with tears running down his cheeks. All the death and destruction was heavily weighing down on his heart. He dearly wished he could end his life, but this was not the time. He will die sooner or later, but before he embraces the stranger he was determined to see his son to safety. Tommen cannot remain under Cersei's grasp. The mad woman will drown Tommen in her sins. I have to reach the capital at any cost, thought Jaime. Jaime's ears picked up movement on the ground and he looked up to see Ser Island Payne. Sir Island uncorked a flagon and let Jaime drink some water. It hurt him to drink the water as his chest moved, but he suppressed the pain to water his dry throat. Jaime looked around but found no trace of Bronn. He thought to ask Sir Island, but then remembered the man could not speak. Jaime settled down to his makeshift bed on the ground, fearing Bronn had abandoned him. He wouldn't blame the cell's word-turned-night if that was the case. However, he hoped Bronn has not abandoned him. If Tommen is to be saved, he has to get to the capital. For that to happen, he has to survive and reach Harrenhal. He can't do that without Bronn's aid in his present state. Jaime took note when Sir Island Payne was quickly on his feet with his sword drawn. Jaime was alarmed as he too began to pick up the sound of hooves in the distance. He struggled but managed to move himself behind a tree with the aid of Widow's Wail. The Valyrian steel had surprisingly stayed intact despite the many misfortunes that fell upon him at Riverrun. Jaime held the sword loosely on his left hand. He had no doubt a simple soldier with a spear could easily mow him down. Yet, he was going to fight to the last, even if his fate was to die in some unknown forest. Jaime looked out from behind the tree as the sound of hooves came too close for his comfort. He was hoping whoever these people are, they would just pass along without detecting them. It was only when he saw Bronn atop a horse followed by other men who wore Lannister cloaks and armor did he let out a sigh of relief. He nearly collapsed in relief when Bronn brought a maester with him as well. "What the fuck were you doing behind that tree?" asked Bronn. "Thought you were enemies," gasped out Jaime, when the maester began to apply some form of cream on his wounds. Jaime hissed as the maester began to poke his skin with a blade. "And what were you supposed to do with that blade? Give it to the enemy from behind the tree? Haven't I told you to not move a muscle before I left?" asked Bronn. "Thought you escaped," Jaime rasped out. "Ha! You won't get rid of me that easily, Sir Jaime. You promised me gold and a lordship. I'll have those before I leave you to your death," said Bronn. "Peace, Sir Bronn. I think it inhibits Sir Jaime's ability to heal." Jaime frowned at the familiar sound and looked around Bronn to see Sir Bonifer Hasty. "You are a long way from Harrenhal, Sir Bonifer," said Jaime. "The Hand ordered us to find out what happened at Riverrun. The Queen ordered us to find what happened to you and burn Riverrun to the ground. Two conflicting orders, but both seek to know the truth of what happened in Riverrun," said Sir Bonifer, none too pleased to have conflicting orders heaped upon his person. "You are looking at what happened in Riverrun," said Jaime, looking at his own body to emphasize the point. "I see." Sir Bonifer nodded impeccably. "There have been rumors of dragons. I dare not believe such rumors. You should if you value your life." "I see." For a moment, the two remained silent. "The Queen's and the Hand's orders are conflicting. You remain the commander of King Tommen's army. What would you have us do, Lord Commander?" asked Sir Bonifer. Jaime closed his eyes and the face of his last remaining son came to his mind. "Retreat. We retreat to King's Landing," said Jaime. "Are you sure, Sir Jaime?" asked Sir Bonifer with a frown. "There is a Targaryen riding a dragon capable of burning castles and armies. This war is lost. I'll have no more innocent blood spilled for the sake of my power-hungry sister. If she wants that chair so much, she can fight herself." Jaime grunted with his eyes turning red at the thought of his sister and her hunger for power. He can clearly see what his little brother had seen all those years before, what he has willfully ignored all these years. Cersei knew not to love but only to manipulate those who love her. Jaime took a deep breath before he stared straight into the eyes of Sir Bonifer. "Pull out the army from Riverlands. Do not bother to take anything or burn granaries on our way out. No matter what we do, this war is lost. I'll have Tommen surrender the throne and end this bloody conflict for all of our sakes." The ride back to Harrenhal was uneventful except for the unbearable pain he was enduring. To make matters worse, the weather was against them every step of the way. Not a day passed where the skies gave a respite to the bloody rain. The maester had done his best in dressing up his wounds and covering his entire body with bandages dipped in healing oils and ointments. It took them a whole week to reach Harrenhal, and it was there Jaime heard the terrible news. Ravens have flown to the four corners of the seven kingdoms proclaiming the start of a blood feud. A feud his father started, and one, Daeron Targaryen has accepted and answered with the burning of his dear aunt and her children. Jaime mourned for his aunt, but he could not wait any longer. He would rest a few more days and treat his wounds. He already gave the orders to start abandoning the castle. Every prisoner he took from Riverlands and Harrenhal was also being released. Before more of his family is butchered, he has to end this war at any cost. With that decision made, he made arrangements for his departure to the capital. Sansa drew her cloak around her body tightly. The cold was becoming far too bothersome as of late. She looked out to the north gate of Winterfell, praying to the old gods to keep her younger brother safe. Rickon had ridden out of Winterfell with Lord Reed to gather the mountain clans. Lord Serwyn was marching towards Dreadfort to secure the castle and make the garrison surrender. Lord Glover, Lady Mormont, Sir Edric Mallister, Sigorn of Thens, Sir Willis Manderly, Lord Stout and many other notable northern lords have marched south to punish the Freys. Under such circumstances, it would have been almost unthinkable to hold the sentencing of Houses Riswell and Dustin. Lord Harwood Stout had already crippled Barbary Dustin and her Riswell family at Barrowlands. The rest of Riswells were keen to surrender to the marching northern army when her cousin flew his dragon over their castle before he made his way to the Riverlands. Not a single drop of blood was shed, and now Lord Riswell and his family stood in Winterfell on their knees. Sansa would not keep them for too long inside the halls of her ancestors. She would hear what they have to say and then she will pass judgment. My lady? Sansa smiled at Lady Brienne, who stood in full plate armor. Are they ready? She asked. The Lord Regent has requested your presence, said Brienne. Sansa walked towards the great hall where everyone was gathered. Along the way, she thought of all that happened since her cousin's departure. The free folk has been moving their women and children towards Winterfell with the Bolton threat dealt with. More refugees were filling up and Wintertown was once again coming back to some sort of life. From time to time, certain tensions would flare up, but nothing that she couldn't handle. Credit was also due to Weirman Manderly, the regent of Rickon, as decreed by her cousin. While she had objected and would continue to object, an outsider holding power in Winterfell, she reluctantly admitted the Lord of Ramsgate is competent and dependable. She will continue to watch his every move, and if she saw a hint of treason she would have the man booted out of Winterfell. And so far, Lord Weirman has been a good help in shoring up Winterfell's defenses. With more and more resources flowing in from White Harbor, it became possible to take the first steps in restoring order to the lands controlled by House Stark. Lord Weirman had the men secure Wintertown and began resettlement in an orderly fashion. Daeron had already given orders along those lines, and Lord Weirman was merely building upon the actions of her cousin. With many houses like Tallhart, Glover and Riswell absent from the western shores, it fell to Winterfell to secure the shores. To that effect, Lord Wymer has been coordinating with the men of Torrhen Square, Deepwood Motte, the Rills and Sea Dragon Point. Correspondence between Bear Islands was also open now that the Boltons were dealt with. Daeron had sent Alysanne Mormont to Bear Islands with a considerable amount of gold and other resources to help little Lyanna Mormont guard the island and the shores. As she strode into the great hall, there were quite a few representatives of the northern houses. Despite a considerable number of men marching south, Winterfell housed many lords and representatives of the northern houses. She immediately recognized Lawrence Hornwood and Jonel Serwyn. The newly sworn Lord of Hornwood and Clay Serwyn's sister was becoming rather familiar. There were many other houses like Locke, Lake, Overton, Moss, Waterman, Wells, Woods, Wolffield, Marsh and many more. Even Wyman Manderly, the Lord of White Harbor, was present in the hall. But so was every male Riswell standing before the high table, unarmed and defeated. She had felt the same when she was wedded to that crazy bastard, and these faces were alight with satisfaction. Why so glum, Lord Riswell? I distinctly remember your visage and that of your daughter not too long ago in these halls," said Sansa as she took her seat at the high table, looking down on the old Lord of the Rills. "You have triumphed for now. A momentary victory, my lady. Yet, the North remains under the Targaryen yoke. We bent the knee to someone in the South. Are you telling me you are any different?" asked Lord Riswell. "Yes. There is a difference. I bent the knee to a Stark. He might be born of a dragon, but do keep in mind he is a wolf as well. My king grew up in these halls as my brother, and he knows the North far better than you it'd seem. A member of the pack," Sandra said coolly. "What did you do, my lord? You bent the knee to the hateful spawn of Cersei Lannister. You broke bread with traitorous Boltons. You thought there will be no repercussions for betraying House Stark? I'm not the only one who accepted Bolton rule in the North," said Lord Riswell True. "But you and your daughter are the only ones who did so out of revenge against the Starks. The North could have easily put down the Boltons if it wasn't for your support. Do you deny that, Lord Riswell?" asked Sansa. A frown passed through Lord Riswell's face before he smoothed out. "I don't," he answered truthfully. "You sought revenge, did you not? Revenge for the insult my grandfather gave you? Where has revenge led you?" Sansa faced the cold glare of Lord Riswell, but that didn't bother her the least. When she was sure Lord Riswell was remaining silent, she let the conversation drop. There was no point in gloating over a dead man's grave. Despite your betrayal and the severity of your actions, King Daeron is lenient. My cousin asked that you and your family be given the chance to take the Black. However, if you ask for a trial by combat, he asked me to inform you that he will personally come to Winterfell and cut you down. I leave the choice to you, my lord," said Sansa as she leaned back in her seat, observing the many Riswells standing before her. "We are Northmen, Lady Stark. There is honor in serving at the Wall. We will take the Black so long as no harm come upon the women of our family." It was Roger Riswell who said that, the eldest son of Lord Riswell. "No harm shall come to them. Even Lady Barbary shall not be harmed, although she will remain a prisoner in Winterfell for the rest of her life," said the Lord Regent. Roger nodded and bowed his head in Sansa's direction before he remained passive. "You shall be escorted to the Wall by Sir Manfred Holt. But a warning before you start your journey, my lord. If I smell a whiff of treason, your daughter will feel the cold steel on her neck, and I won't spare a single drop of Riswell blood to remain in the North. I swear this as a Stark of Winterfell." Sansa's threat seems to have sunk in as Lord Riswell nodded before being led out of the hall. "My lady, a raven came from the king," said the Lord Regent as he handed over a piece of parchment. A smile bloomed on her face as she read the parchment. "The Lannister Fry army sieging Riverrun has tasted dragonfire. Riverrun and Raventree Hall are liberated." Thunderous applause from the assembled lords filled the halls of Winterfell. "My Lord Hand. A raven from Riverrun," said Grand Maester Pycelle as the old maester held out a piece of parchment. Kevin took the parchment with some concern. Concern not for the possibility of a new war, as he knew there was no way war will be averted. He held no notion that he could reach a diplomatic settlement. Each raven he sent offering concession after concession in the past few days were meant to buy him time. Time for what? He knew not at this point. He could not physically go to Riverrun in a week. He could not hatch any plans that could save his sister and her children in a week. Even his brother, for all his powers, could not perform such a miracle. So, he resorted to every offer he could give, and some were well above his power, and yet he did so anyway. He even offered northern independence, but all such offers were rebuffed. And now, the message from another claimant for the Iron Throne is sitting in his hand. The life of his sister also rested on this piece of paper. Was this how Tywin felt when he heard of Tyrion's capture? While Kevin certainly knew his older brother better than most, Tywin's thoughts eluded him just as everyone else. Then again he knew just how much Tywin blamed Tyrion for Joanna's death. So, perhaps Tywin was not that worried for Tyrion's sake. He opened the parchment and read the contents. Dread filled his heart as he read the first few words. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Your family cost me a cousin, an uncle and an aunt. Jaime Lannister made my cousin a cripple and Sansa was tortured under the orders of Cersei's vile spawn. You have not yet seen a true war waged by a true Stark. I hope you remember the tales of Theon Stark the Hungry Wolf. If not, I'm about to teach you in Westerlands. I declare a feud, a blood feud. A feud that will end when every drop of Lannister blood is wiped away from Westeros. Starting with the burning of your sister and her children, I light the fire that will turn into an inferno that shall engulf House Lannister and Westerlands. Vengeance shall be mine. Daeron Targaryen, King of the Seven Kingdoms, Rider of Regal. Kevin set the parchment down with shaky hands. The implications of the message left him in tatters. He closed his eyes and thought of his little sister. A drop of tear was shed for her memory, and he cursed his brother for the first time. He cursed him over and over for birthing two children that ruined House Lannister for good. He cursed himself for failing to protect his sister. He cursed the gods as well as there was nothing else he could do.